It is now 7:00 p.m., and I will call this meeting to order. Can I please get a roll call?
All councilors are present.
Can we please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no special orders of the day or announcements. There are no public hearings, so we move straight to public comment.
We have reached the point on the agenda for residents to speak to our council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any requests at this meeting, but may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. Public comment is a privilege, and we expect everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Speakers are asked to complete a public comment form and turn it in prior to our meeting. Each individual will be invited to the podium and asked to state your name and address for the record. Are there any members of the public wishing to address the council this evening? Are there any members of the public wishing to address the council this evening? If there are no public comments, we will go on to item 6, the consent agenda.
There are 3 items under the consent agenda this evening, and they will all be considered routine and will be enacted by one motion, and no separate discussion of these items will be taken unless the council member so request, at which point it'll be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any counselor like anything removed from our consent agenda? The consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6C. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Blakely, second by Councilor Prushel. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7A is consideration of Resolution 2020-041 for the approval denial of applicants for an alcohol beverage operator bartender's license for the years 2019 through 2021. There are 9 licenses before you this evening, 8 for approval and 1 for denial, and the time to appeal on the denial has passed.
Is there a motion to approve item 7A?
I so move.
Moved by Councilor Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Anderson. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Under ordinances this evening, there's consideration of ordinance number 3676 to create 1802 sub 15 sub Q of the Code of General Ordinance of the City of Beloit authorizing outdoor vending for a Latino community celebration event sponsored by the Beloit School District in Riverside Park.
Okay. Can we get a summary of the request, please?
Yes, the School District of Beloit has approached the City of Beloit Parks and Recreation Division about sponsoring a special event at the Harry Moore Pavilion in Riverside Park on May 6, 2020, celebrating the Latino community. Event organizers plan to have vending, including food trucks and local restaurants, music, art exhibits, and community booths. This event is free and open to the public. The school district is also requesting that the council consider suspending the rules to have first and second reading tonight so they can begin advertising for the event.
Okay. Thank you, Scott, for this report. Could you just say your name and title, please, because we didn't even say hello to you when you first stepped up to the podium.
Scott Prindeville, city engineer.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from councilors before we move forward?
I would like to make a motion that we suspend the rules.
Okay. Any discussion? We have a first and a second. Any discussion?
I would just like to say we appreciate the advance notice and we'd like to help them out and make sure they can promote their.
Okay, so with that said.
Ditto.
Okay,
That's all.
so if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So is there a motion to approve ordinance number 3676?
I so move.
Moved by Councilor Blakely. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Forbeck. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
There are no appointments, so the next item is councilor activities and upcoming events.
Okay, thank you. We will begin with Counselor Preschel.
Well, I was looking at the calendar. There's quite a few things coming up this week and next. This Thursday evening at Springbrook Court, 2400 Springbrook, there will be this is at the Home 2 Suites. The I-90, I-39, I-90 project will have its spring update on what's happening in the Beloit construction area. And that will be at Home 2 Suites on Thursday evening at 5 p.m. And then coming up this Friday, I'll be attending the homeless patron workshop at the library in the afternoon. I don't know if there's any openings left, but it's designed for customer service people to understand and appreciate how to work with the homeless, and that's coming up. Should be a very interesting workshop. And then next week, the League of Women Voters is in this room with city council candidates. So that's coming up, and the usual things. The Plan Commission has some interesting items on their agenda for this Wednesday at 7. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Counselor Preschel. Counselor Jacobson.
No report.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Jacobson. Next, Counselor Blakely.
I just wanted to say thank you to Greg Gerard, the Executive Director of BIF, and for all the people who volunteered to help with that. It was a great 2 weeks of films, and I definitely saw some old favorites like the Blues Brothers and some that I never would have heard of or seen otherwise. There were definitely quality films. So thank you, Greg and team. And this coming Wednesday evening, from 6 to 8 o'clock at Merrill Community Center is Conversations with the Community, hosted by the Police Department, to talk about their efforts on some very sensitive topics for the community. So I hope you'll all feel like stopping by and hearing what our public guardians have to say and having a discussion with them. Thanks. That's 6 to 8 o'clock. Come on, button. There it is. The time is 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday at Merrill Center.
Thank you, Counselor Blakely. Counselor Levy. No report. Okay, thank you, Counselor Levy. Counselor Forbeck.
No report.
Thank you, Counselor Forbeck. Vice President Anderson.
Echoing everything everybody else said, plus I have to hold up my end of the bargain to my youth hockey team. I told them if they got first or second in tournament, I'd give them a shout out. So this is me doing that and upholding my end of that. I'm really proud of them. They finished up their season, so now I have a little more free time to go out in the community, and really proud of those kids. Only 9 kids on the team, so Nick, I know you understand the 9 kids on a hockey team is really small. So, and that includes a goalie. So they got a lot of skating this year. I'm really proud of them, and like I said, told them I'd give them a shout out today. So,
Oh, that's great.
Thanks.
Should we give them a round of applause, Clint?
I guess so.
Thank you, Dad. You can get one. Here.
Thank you, Vice President Anderson. First, I would like to begin tonight by saying people in our community have some concerns and anxiety about the coronavirus. So I would like to share that Beloit Health System will host an educational community talk on coronavirus by Dr. Sumaraji on Tuesday, March 10th at 4 p.m. in the Beloit Hospital Auditorium. So just thought I would just do that. Next, I'll go on to my activities. I had the opportunity to attend the Cranston Road Corridor Study public meeting along with some of my colleagues here tonight. Special thanks to our city manager and Department of Public Works staff for giving us an update. It was great to see so many residents there too. Also, I went to the Black History Celebration at the Governor's Mansion and had my confirmation hearing with members of the Senate for reappointment to the Wisconsin State Public Defender Board at the Capitol in Madison. In addition to that, I attended the Downtown Beloit Association Dinner Celebration at La Casa Grande with City Manager Luther, and also some of my colleagues were there. Congratulations to the 2019 Business Award recipients who were recognized: Brighton Motors, Pig Iron Pub and Grub, Remax Ignite, Medical Grade Aesthetics, Beloit Family Eye Care, Melinda Obershaw, and Peter Frank. I also want to give a shout out and special thanks to the La Casa Grande staff, volunteers, Sally Canoples, Shauna Elamine, Crystal Cribbs, and our other city staff who put on an amazing show highlighting the Wizard of Oz, adding Beloit into their skit. It was a lot of fun. Way to go, you all. Also on Friday, I attended the Beloit Literacy for Life Initiative meeting at the Beloit Public Library. So many thanks to Tara Tenda, Rachelle Elliott, and the committee for their continued dedication to promoting literacy in our community. As we move forward with so many projects, this is one which will be very impactful and beneficial to our city. I encourage you to please read to your children and grandchildren, and nieces and nephews and cousins and so on. The Beloit Literacy for Life group will be sharing more information with our council and the public soon, because literacy truly improves our society. So I'm really looking forward to that. Also, we have openings for volunteers to serve on our city committees, which are as follows. The Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee, there's one vacancy, and also one vacancy for the Tavern League representative. The Board of Appeals, there's 3 vacancies for residents of the city of Beloit, 1 vacancy for first alternate, and 1 vacancy for the second alternate. Then the Board of Review, there's 1 vacancy for a resident for the city of Beloit, and 2 vacancies for alternates. And then our Community Development Authority, there's 1 vacancy for a resident. The Equal Opportunities Commission, there's 1 vacancy for a resident. The Landmarks Commission, there's 3 vacancies for residents. The Municipal Library Board, there's 1 vacancy for a resident. Park, Recreation, and Conservation Advisory Commission, there's 1 vacancy for the School District of Beloit representative. And then we have our Traffic Review Committee, there's 1 vacancy for a resident. So if you want to put your talents and skills to use, we have plenty of things that you can do for the city of Beloit. So if you're interested, please go to our city website at www.beloitwi.gov or call Pam Lathrop, who's our executive assistant, at 608-364-6614. And in addition, I want to mention that we have some upcoming events, which they'll be on our City of Beloit website, but they're also in the Beloit report. And you talked to this earlier, Sherry, when you talked about the conversation with the community at the Merrill Community Center. It's actually going to be on March 4th, and then there's Wednesday, March 4th, and then there's another one Wednesday, March 11th. So it's at Merrill Community Center from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. with the Beloit Police Department. And then also we will have, actually it's at the same time, I'll be joining some of my fellow councilors here today. We'll be participating in the City Council Candidate Forum, but that'll be here at 6:30, here at City Hall from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So you may just want to leave out a little early and come over here to City Hall to hear us.
I thought you meant we should leave early.
Could do that too. We wear a lot of hats. So please mark your calendars. And
This Wednesday or a week away?
this next Wednesday. Yeah. So in closing, I want to thank all those associated with the success of the Beloit International Film Festival. If you didn't get a chance to look at it, it was on the front of the Beloit Daily News today. So including, I'd like to mention Greg Gerard, Anna Kelly, Diane Hendricks, Stephanie Klett, the BIF board members, staff, sponsors, partners, organizers, and volunteers. I don't want to leave anybody out. Many heartfelt thanks to each of you for literally putting on a great show. You all did a terrific job this year. I also want to mention that I was saddened to hear about the shooting at the Molson Coors plant in Milwaukee. Let's keep their families in our thoughts and prayers and work together to end these acts of violence. If you see something, please say something. Let's not tolerate hate in our community. Let's spread more love. So with that said, we'll go next to item 11.
Item 11A is consideration of Resolution 2020-042, approving a lease between the City of Beloit and the Beloit Public Library and Blackhawk Technical College.
Thank you. At this time, City Manager Luther and Library Director Nick Demasis will present, please.
Thank you. We have before you this evening a unique opportunity for the city as the property owner, the library as the primary tenant, and in this case landlord, and Blackhawk Technical College to expand upon the services they've been providing since the fall of 2018 at the Beloit Public Library. We are thrilled to have this opportunity to have Blackhawk Technical College in a more permanent fashion, providing courses at the library. And through this scenario, rather than simply providing classes from one of the existing classrooms, as they have been over more than a year, They are offering to pay at their expense, Blackhawk Technical College, for the build-out of unfinished space at the library. Our library director, Nick Damasis, has really been leading the charge, and his creativity and his commitment to creative solutions to how we can use our library in new and different ways and bring patrons into the library for educational services that are beyond what we may traditionally think of at our local library, I think is incredibly exciting and vibrant, and it will help to sustain the library for years to come. The agreement as proposed provides for up to 20 years for the use of this space. We are already, again, providing courses from Blackhawk Technical College, but this gives them a more permanent footprint. The space can be used for other services when they are not using it for classes, but it does, again, provide some continuity and sustainability to that service. Our library director can answer any specific questions you might have. At the time when Blackhawk Technical College was determining that it wasn't financially feasible for them to continue renting space in the quantity that they had previously been leasing at the Eclipse Center, I know that residents of Beloit were very concerned about what the future would hold for additional post-high school education opportunities physically in Beloit. And so the short-term solution and pilot program, if you will, I think has been enormously successful. And this is a way to grow upon that pilot program in a more permanent fashion and continue that partnership for years to come.
Thank you. Should we take the motion first?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Jacobson, a second by Counselor Levy. Any discussion? And I believe we have Counselor Blakely that has a question. Go ahead, Counselor.
And my slow to turn on microphone is on and ready to go. So we did have a chance as counselors, and the public was invited to a workshop, an open meeting workshop before our regular meeting. So some of the minutiae of questions that I was carrying around got handled. I do want to say that in response to two constituents I heard from in the community, I got their basic questions answered. Indeed, our tax dollars also go to Blackhawk Technical College, not just to Beloit Public Library and the city of Beloit. So feel assured of that, public. And also, Nick, you were able to reassure me that the space that Blackhawk Tech will redo for their efforts is a relatively small footprint and is using space that isn't currently being used by the library, so you won't have to reduce the collection. Could you speak to that just a little bit about them using existing public spaces in a relatively small footprint?
Okay, so President Duncan, thank you. Nick Damasis, the Library Director for Beloit Public Library, Councilmember Blakely. The answer to that is, this is, as City Manager Curtis Luther said, this is unfinished space. So in the wisdom of those that built the library originally, there was much space that was left unfinished to see what the future looked like. And one of the things that we have seen, now that we are living that future, is the collection sizes are not going to grow, but this space is not impacting the current collection size. So it is in the unfinished space, and that is where the footprint of this campus will be.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. Mr. Damasis. And one other question I forgot to bring up is all the space will be on the ground floor? Is that true?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Forbeck?
Thank you. I was just going to say what you so nicely said already. The planners were wise, weren't they?
Yes.
I remember back when this was being done, and it seemed like a lot of extra space there. But I can't think of a better use than to have our Blackhawk Tech and then other entities that maybe want to educate to be able to use this. So, well done.
Thank you, thank you. Councilmember Forbeck, and that is really important to think about. And we've spent really the last 3 to 5 years really trying to use and poke at that space and see what the value is for the community in that space, and not just, lurch at this or that kind of, just to use it up. So we've had a lot of different partnerships, tried a lot of different things, and as all of you have said, and certainly City Manager Curtis Luther, is that this really is a huge payoff. It's a natural partnership with some of the other organizations we have, the ESL classes that are being held in the library from State Line Literacy Council, and some other programs in that we have. So it really is a natural fit that's come together through a pilot project, through a lot of experimentation, listening and talking. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I just wanted to add, Nick, I just want to say thanks so much for you coming and working with your staff on this partnership. And I just want to say that this is going to assist so many residents with their career goals. So thank you so much for leading this effort.
Thanks, and we appreciate the support. And so many people have had an effort in bringing this to fruition and support over the last couple of years, but I do have to thank City Manager Curtis Luther. There's been a flurry of activity, as you can guess, getting to this point today, and it couldn't have been done without her and the Department of Public Works and others, but especially giving, as Councilmember Anderson said, a shout out to Lori. So
Yes,
thank you.
And I just have one additional comment from Councilor Jacobson. Go ahead, Councilor.
Yes, I just wanted to remind my fellow council members that we received a lot of backlash from our residents when Black Hawk Tech moved out of the Eclipse Center, and we heard several lengthy presentations about the reason why that was made. And I recall that was early in my council career, and there were a lot of people in the room, many more than are here this evening. And so this is great for us. And also, Sherry mentioned that, this is taxpayer dollars, but the benefit is that it's not just going to a lease that's going to be eaten up. It's going to be a permanent asset to the library. So it's sort of a win-win, if you will. And luckily, our literary leaders plan in advance for some extra space that you've used for the book sale and for your annual fundraiser. So we're going to have to move those around, but I guess you're willing to do that for this benefit. And also, I think that we can see that this is a natural partnership, and that we can better utilize the Blender Cafe and public transit with more people coming in and out of the library. It just really can't hurt. So I commend you guys for working hard. I know that we joke about the 28-page lease, but I know you guys had to dig through it and work hard through it. So thank you for the hard work and bringing it forward. I think this is great for the city of Beloit specifically and the library.
Thank you.
Okay. So if there are no other, Councilor
I
Preschel.
just wanted to thank Beth for reminding us of the furor that was caused when Black Hawk Tech moved out of the Eclipse Center, and that we had 2 public meetings in both sides of the city, and promises were made that they were going to keep their presence here. They weren't sure how, and it's good to see it come together with the library. It's such a natural fit, and it makes a lot of sense. And it's like 3 different parties got to all get together, and it's got to get built. And so now we got to get this going, and it's really good that they found a way to stay here and stay in a place that's accessible. So, thanks.
If I can, just
Go
on
ahead.
that, since 2
Go
people
ahead,
have
Nick.
commented on this, is that concern that was raised, I think, was heard loud and clear. I don't want to speak for Dr. Pierner, but it was right away that he and I sat down. We contacted each other and said, how can we try to make this presence for Black Hawk Technical College remain here? And I'm sure a good part of that was because they heard loud and clear that that all of you and all the residents really wanted them to have a presence here, to have a campus. So it is very exciting on our role to have had a role in that, and all the things that have been said here today. So thank you.
Okay. Again, thank you, Nick. Next, we have a first by Councilor Jacobson, a second by Councilor Levy. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
There are no reports from boards and city officers, so adjournment.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Counselor Levy, second by Counselor Prushel. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are now adjourned.